Everybody. We have some reports over here if you want to get a copy. How you guys?
So you just need to advance it as they go through the slides, so the recording's gonna show what they're talking about. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, right.
Like on the sign sheet around the corner, option one is also colored. Right, and it's something.
Very sorry to that. They have to.
Oh, yeah. You're really good at that. Wow.
Just waiting on one to return from the restroom, no, sorry.
Hello, everyone. Can I have your attention, please? My name is Susan, and I am the Military Assistant 2 with the Oakland Police Department, and I am responsible for all things military. I just want to welcome you and thank you all for coming today. And just to get a few housekeeping rules out for you, the bathrooms are out to the door and the right around the corner. This is a safe space, and you guys are the one that should be respectful and please to share their film.
All right.
Turn over to my captain.
Welcome, everybody. My name is Eddie Perez. I'm the acting captain of our SOV unit, a support operations division. That's where pretty much we keep all our military equipment. This is our third annual report and second community meeting that we have. Last year's community meeting, I believe, was at City Hall. This year, we decided to do it here in East Oakland. With me is going to be Captain Bevel. Wait.
Stand up and tussle.
Yeah.
I'm very shy. So acting Captain Fellow of Police Area 4, 22nd Avenue High Street. The reason why I'm here tonight is that I've worked with everybody at this table on the original AB 481 and the military equipment legislation and ultimate policies that led to the annual report that you see today. So hopefully I can be helpful for anybody.
Thank you, Captain Bevel.
Acting Captain Omar Dazakiros, or some people might know me as DQ. Currently, I'm the acting captain of the Criminal Investigation Division, overseeing the homicide section, robbery, felony assault, sexual assault cases, burglary, general crimes. Also, the commander of our ECU, Armed Services Unit, so in charge of drones and robots.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I am Lieutenant Chris Cardona. I am currently the Vehicle 1 Watch Commander. So that's on the west end. I'm also one of the attack commanders for the US.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for coming. I'm Acting Lieutenant Patrick Gonzalez. I am the Special Operations Section Acting Lieutenant, so I oversee
the tactical team, the K-9 unit, the Marine unit, air support unit, our alcohol and tobacco unit, our marijuana enforcement unit, and our homeless outreach unit. I have 27 years with the city of Oakland and 24 years on the tactical operations team. And again, thank you for coming.
Please welcome someone. We're doing introductions by now. Again, thank you guys all for coming. The reason we picked this panel of officers is because they're considered the subject matter experts on the equipment that is used. They were either directly involved or had a big part when we created the policy of the equipment that we use for. Before we get started, does anybody have any questions? Yeah, okay, so as I mentioned, this is our agenda. This is what we're gonna try to cover today to the best of our abilities. We've covered the introductions. We'll talk about AB 481 background. The military equipment that we own, how we use it, how we document the deployments, and if we have any complaints or any negative impact on the equipment that we use. We're also gonna talk of possible projected acquisitions that we want. One of them are gonna be drones, and I'll let DQ talk about it more when we get to that section. And then lastly, obviously, we're gonna open it up for any questions that we may have. All right, so as I said, the Assembly Bill 481 requires us to create policy and just report annually. After the report is created, we're required to host a community meeting. As I mentioned it before, last year's meeting was at City Hall. This year's meeting, we decided to do it in this area of East Oakland. The reason why is because the majority of the equipment that we deploy, the vast majority sits in East Oakland. Drones, and I believe our Bearcat are the number one piece of equipment that we deploy. And the way we do that, obviously, is by intelligence. Calls into 911 call center, observations by police officers, intelligence that we get by reports that get generated based on crime statistics. That's how we have the ability to formulate deployments. And when we deploy our resources, once those resources get deployed, the request for those resources come in via various forms, like I said, for a 911 dispatch center or on-view incidents or by citizens calling. Similar to the Assembly Bill, it's also the government code. Pretty much it mimics what we're supposed to do. Again, we're supposed to create policies, create reports, and share those reports with the community. And make assessments if that piece of equipment is working or not. If we're thinking about getting rid of some of the equipment, replacing some of the equipment. As I mentioned, there's drones that we have in mind that we want to supplement the unit with, because that is our number one demand piece of equipment. And then again, the municipal code, it kind of mimics the Assembly Bill as to how we're supposed to keep accountability of the equipment, and everything is under report. And if I'm going too fast, please pull me down, raise your hand. So I can answer questions.
Do you have any more handout?
Yes, I can. One more, please. It's not in public. Sorry.
Yeah. And also I'll be available online shortly.
Yes.
Great.
Now we'll have that online. That's just a continuation of how sorry, I'll go back a little bit, how we're supposed to, keep track, do the audits, complaints, as I mentioned, and how to keep records. There's this document that we created, about a year and a half ago through our reporting system called Vision. Pretty much what it is, we used to do this by hand. Email was to look at the report, transfer everything into an Excel sheet, and then publish it. We're getting a little bit better. Like technology is coming in. We now have vision. It creates what we call the MEU, the military equipment utilization. So pretty much what the document does, it memorializes any time a piece of equipment comes out, like if the Bearcat is requested, there's various steps that need to be taken. First of all, it has to be a lieutenant or above to approve. Before it can get approved, that deployment needs to meet that criteria. If it meets the criteria to get deployed, then it gets deployed. Once it gets deployed, it has to be documented. Again, anytime there's communication either over the radio or the CAT, everything is memorialized. Everything we speak on the radio is recorded, and everything can be accessed through public requests. So we're very transparent on how we manage this equipment, how we document, how we use it.
If I may,
Sure, please.
one of the bigger challenges that we had with this report, which I commend Kiva and our IT folks in the city of Oakland to overcome. It was very important for us to capture not only the deployment of the equipment, but also any associated complaints or injuries as a result of the deployment of that equipment. And it was very difficult for us to marry up, say, an internal affairs complaint with a manually written number that was combined at the end of the year. So we wanted to ensure that we didn't have any time lapse between associations of dissatisfied community members with the deployment of equipment. So the vision system is all based on incident numbers and report numbers. So if in May, say May 5th, the deployment occurs and a particular community member is pleased with that deployment, but they make a complaint in June. It will marry up those numbers automatically and capture that data, and that data immediately goes to KEMA. So that best allows us to review all of the equipment annually, if there's complaints associated with that equipment and potential alternatives to that equipment. So the vision system really improved that. But please do note, it took the better part of half of this reporting period to implement that system. It's very technologically advanced. And, OPD, we're more of police folks than we are IT folks, but I believe we created a very good product in line with AB 481 and also National Spot.
Thank you. And I'll just add that, thanks to KEMA, we did get funds to incorporate like an inventory software system. As I mentioned, everything is done by hand right now. And then obviously there's always room for human error every time we do that. Thankfully, once we get that funding, this system is going to be able not only to take inventory of what we have. Once certain equipment expires, that needs to get replaced, and we'll explain that a little bit when it comes to the chemical munitions. Because a lot of this equipment has life expectancy, like the Bearcat, the rifles, talks about that. But thanks to KEMA, hopefully we get that software incorporated by next year, and you'll see even a better product. Over that. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to just start going some of the slides. I'll explain, it's going to have some of the pictures of the equipment, and then I'll let the SME speak to the equipment and how at the end we'll get how many each piece of equipment gets deployed, what the cost is for training, maintenance, and replacement. So DQ, you want to start with this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
You want mine?
No, I got it. Just, have it right here in front of me. There you go. All right. So first off, again, my name is Omar Dalvidos, or DQ. So we began the drone program. We went live at OPD around April or March of 2022. That year, specifically within Oakland in 2022, with OPD, we had 132 deployments. In 2023, we had 220 deployments. 2024, 126 deployments for a total of 478. I have to thank the Target Advisory Commission for working with them over the course of several years, with Brian Hofer, all the other members on there to get a good policy that we share with outside agencies, because a lot of agencies are now mimicking our policy and asking for our policy. There are certain requirements that must be met when we can deploy drones, and certain criteria such as, is there a barricaded suspect? Is there a person who is armed and dangerous that ran and fled into the yard where we have the area isolated and contained, and now we can deploy a drone overhead, and we can kind of search that area to give us real-time intelligence on where that person is. Is there a missing person or lost person? Is there a sideshow activity, which I think everybody's aware of, and drones assist us in identifying what the sideshow vehicles are doing? Are they shooting in the air? Are they trying to burn down buildings, etc.? What we don't deploy for, we wanted to make sure was for First Amendment rights for protest gatherings and marches. We want to make sure we protect people's rights. However, if unfortunately, whether it's 2 people in that group or 5 people in that group now want to start lighting dumpster fires or breaking into businesses, then absolutely we can deploy those drones, identify who those 2 or 5 people are, and direct officers to that. So some of the drones that we have right now in our fleet are 5 minis. Those are interior drones. The way an interior drone works is if there's a person inside the residence or people inside the residence that such as a barricaded suspect may be armed and dangerous, we have a right to be there, we've been contacted to be there. We can deploy that drone inside to give us some intelligence to figure out exactly where this person is hiding or where that person is situated. It's an interior drone. It has prop guards. So in case it bumps into the wall and goes down, we can kind of airlift it back up, fly around and give us some intelligence. We have 7 exterior drones. They're Mavic 2s. Those drones are the ones that will be deployed if we're outside of a residence or outside of a yard or at a sideshow or looking for a person. They'll be deployed where they can give us some intelligence again and let us know what we're actually looking at. And then we have the Militarized 300 RTK. It's a larger drone. That one can be flown during inclement weather. It's important to note that all the information we have goes directly to the remote control. So it's not being live streamed anywhere else. If you would like that information, obviously it has to go through a public records request. We have a 5-day retention period, which was something we looked at. So if it doesn't fall under any type of criminal activity or administrative activity, that reporting gets deleted. Immediately upon deploying and going into the air, our policy says that we have to start reporting, which we do. So our fleet obviously is being outdated in the sense that there's 478 deployments. It's just like any car. The more you use it, the more you have to fix it. Fortunately, those drones were donated to us. The money was, we have $0 funding. The officers have taken it upon themselves to go to extra classes, learn how to fix those drones. So if something goes down, we've been repairing it ourselves. Looking at the robots, we have an I-4, which is the one on the right-hand side, and we have an Avatar. Those are also getting down to just worn down, I like to say, for lack of better knowledge or terminology. What we use robots for? Well, yes, we do have drones, and yes, I don't like to say they're the future, but they are the present, and they assist us. But how do you actually get inside of a house when someone's barricaded? The drone's not going to be able to open it up. So we drive the robot up there. We're able to manipulate the handle of the door, manipulate a window, and now we're able to fly a drone inside. We've also taken water to somebody who requested water. We've also taken cigarettes to people who requested cigarettes. It also has a speaker, so we can communicate with somebody and try to talk to somebody. Again, it also has technology where we can look at what we're seeing. The camera system is not the greatest, but it does help us get inside a house where now it keeps officers away and at a distance. It gives us more time to figure out what we can do. It places us at a safer advantage. It places the residents at a safer advantage. And in the end, it kind of mitigates the whole incident with less use of the force. It gives us more to try to figure something. So I think in the end, it's been so beneficial, and I do present every year at the Privacy Advisory Commission. And I have to say, I think they're very happy with our policy. maybe there's a couple grammatical errors that I have in my annual report, so we'll just have to fix that. But other than that, they've been very happy with it, and they, have expressed that they love our policy and that they actually, other agencies are using it. Q&A or?
Captain Dr. brings up a very good point, 2 points particularly, is that, I'm very glad to be here today to see what equipment that we have and specifically how it operates and what its purpose is. By and large, you're gonna hear us repeat significantly that we usually do as a form of de-escalation, to create time and distance between the subjects that we're encountering so that we have more time to negotiate and resolve these incidences with less use of force. That's a critical venture, for military equipment while maintaining public and officer safety. But like you stated that the drones are very old, they're aged out, and we don't have any money at this time for funding for drones. The reason why that's important, what delineates the difference between AP 481, one of the key factors between it and the local OMC 9.65, is that funding for all the equipment that you see up here today, it must be basically given permission from the police commission prior to us engaging in any type of, say, grant or additional funding sources before we can actually purchase that equipment. Why that is important is because there's some turnaround time to get some of these pieces of equipment, and grants often have significant turnaround time. So for very important programs, like the drone program, which is a proven de-escalation tool, it's very important that we get your opinion on the matter. And if you support it, excellent. If you don't support it, look and help us look for alternatives, as we will look for alternatives as well. But please speak with the commission and give your opinion on it. We'll be seeking funding for replacement for many of the schools today.
Thank you, Captain Hill. Yeah, just to make a point, majority of the equipment that we're gonna be showing to you guys is, there was acquired from federal grant. So a lot of it is, it's been that way. And, Lieutenant Gonzalez has been heavily involved in getting some of that money. We all know that our city is going through a stressful financial situation right now, and we depend a lot on grants. But before we can do any of that, obviously, there's a chain of command, and there's steps that we have to follow before we can even start talking about it farm certain quick. Okay, so the next one, that's our Bearcat. Our Bearcat's an fully armored vehicle, and next to it, it's an armored Suburban. The armored Suburban on the right is just a regular, out of the, dealer Suburban with aftermarket upgrades that has armor in it. Our Bearcat was acquired through an OPD grant in 2005. It's 20 years old. It's been used for many situations from officer rescue, the active shooter that we had at Oikos, the active shooter that we thought we had up in the, I forgot the name of it, or that one, Fontaine.
And the active shooter on Las Vegas too.
And we have an active shooter in Las Vegas, and that Bearcat was very important to us back in the deployment in Pacific. As I mentioned before, there's policy. We have a training bulletin. Policy was created for this piece of equipment. Not anybody can drive it. You have to be trained. You have to go to a 3-day course to be able to deploy this. Because it's very outdated. The way that we are able to report when it gets deployed, we adapt to the situation, right? We take our PDRDs, our body worn cameras, and we attach them to the Bearcat because it's so old, it doesn't have that technology. But we find ways to make sure, obviously, that we show that we're being transparent, and that's one way that we can. So an officer, if he's going to take this piece of equipment first, we have to get permission, and that permission has to meet that criteria, right? Depending on the situation. The officer then goes to where we have it stored. There's a key card, so it's going to report who's accessing the gate, and then he mounts the PDRDs into the Bearcat, and then it gets deployed wherever it needs to go. After it gets deployed, it gets documented on the air. We have the radio saying, "Hey, we're deploying the Bearcat." The commander is going to say, "Go ahead, you're approved," and everything's memorialized. At the end of the task or mission, there has to be an MEU report that gets issued. As I said, I mean, there's not a lot to it. It's just a piece of armor that we use that is essential for us. It does fit 10 people. It does have a big open double door space on the back that you can put a gurney. The intent of that is that if there's a medical situation, we can bring one of the medics into the Bearcat and use it while the Bearcat's moving. This happened during March 21st, 2009. One of our officers were transporting the Bearcat, so. Again, an essential piece of equipment. The Tahoe on that side, as I mentioned, is just a regular Tahoe, with upgrades. The reason that we may seek to replace it eventually is because it doesn't have a hatch. So obviously you can't roll the windows down on this because it has armor. If we were to be involved in an accident where it's a fire related and we can't extract ourselves, there's no way for us to get out. The Bearcat does have an emergency, has a turret and has an emergency basin. That equipment doesn't have it. I think I know Lieutenant Gonzalez doesn't like to ride on that big guy.
It's basically a death trap. If the doors jam, there's no way out of it.
And again, as we learn as we go, right? As technology comes in and equipment comes in, we see it, we analyze it, but then we start seeing the flaws in it, and that's one of them. So when we start looking for replacement, make sure when we present the report to you guys, the police commission, the ad hoc team, we're gonna do due diligence, make sure that it covers everything safe for everyone.
I have and may I make a request
Yes,
that, the full name, the terminology that you're referring to is used instead of the acronym? Because sometimes I don't know what is MOU or blah, blah, whatever you're saying.
thank you.
Because
Same
it's
here.
internally, so I think that would be helpful for.
Absolutely.
Ready, so MOUs, that memorandum of understanding. Any military equipment use.
That's the one, I know
Yes.
that's the one, but I got one, you know.
On your camera.
As police officers, we're so used to
I'm
speaking
so sorry.
acronyms.
I apologize.
If we throw out an acronym and you just don't, just shoot your hand up and then we'll, yeah.
And I'm still asking for
Yeah.
that breakdown myself as well, even though I work with them.
Very smart.
Yeah, so the MEU is the military, military equipment utilization, form that I talk about. Body worn cameras, the PWs, police and against for this stop, doing a bunch of action.
Thank you.
This is, yes.
Where is this equipment or vehicles? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, good question.
That was.
Those, both of these, well, this one, the Bearcat is kept at Eastmont substation. On the left right here, and then the one on the right, the Suburban, is kept at the PAB, so the East Administration Building, 455 7th Street. And
Main station.
the main station, the main
And we-
police station.
Keep them on opposite sides of the city for response times.
Yeah, it's like a tactical thing for us because now we have, the city's so big, strategically, they get strategically placed in that part of the city.
Well, what about the drones? And how many drones and those robots or whatever are there?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
So, right now, there are 17 operators, meaning that they're all, certified to actually fly the drone. There's 2 sergeants and myself as the lieutenant. The drones are kept they're housed at the Public Administration Building, 455 7th Street, and at Eastmont. But if you're working and assigned that day, then they get checked out by the police officer as opposed to trying to run back to the police station to grab a drone to be out. So they keep them in their respective trunks and in their vehicles for rapid deployment. As opposed to, let me get back to the police station because now I need it, as opposed to, we'd be wasting, seconds and minutes, which could save the life of somebody and also allow us to determine if something is really happening, and then we can clear the situation.
Okay, question on drones. I think you had mentioned there were 5,
Interior,
interior drones, 7 exterior, then how many of the 300 are?
just one right now, just one, that's our current fleet,
That's like the one that you can operate in from weather, right?
yes.
All right, our next vehicle, this is our mobile command vehicle. Pretty much what this does, we utilize this vehicle, we keep it in the Oakland Police Department hangar, the same place where our helicopter unit is. Lieutenant Gonzalez, you want to talk a little bit about this one?
No, so it's great. There's a critical incident, for centralized command and control. Also, if we see a spike in crime throughout the city, we can deploy the mobile command post in those areas. And then citizens can come up, report crimes and interact with officers. So more of a presence in the area.
A great example of it was, you guys remember the recent Keller fire? But that was a very serious, rapidly evolving situation. So OPD, OFD, as well as Public Works, all collaborated inside of this vehicle. The one up,
Keller Avenue.
Yeah. Yep, and so
It's that part of the on the face.
it's a large enough vehicle to encompass multiple leads from separate agencies, which you'll see the other vehicles are not. This one specifically has that capability, and so we'll deploy those critical incidents and improve the value.
Is it co-owned by the fire department?
Was it a half grant?
No, it is. It was bought together, but we maintain it and the Oakland Police Department doesn't. But it is an asset to both the Oakland Police Department and the Oakland Fire Department.
That one's kept at the airport. Right, moving on. So now we're gonna get into, explosive breaching. This is the equipment that we have in our inventory, and Lieutenant Cardona will talk a little bit about it. He's our subject matter expert on this. All right, good evening, everybody. So this is our explosive breaching equipment. It's one of our, one of our ways, our techniques that we can utilize, this method to, reach a certain threshold. We can use it for many different reasons. Our training always, I dictate our tactic. It's not, since I've been on the SWAT team for 14, 15 years now, we have never used it. But it's one of those things that we constantly train up on it, make sure that we're proficient in the task. And it's one of those things that it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. It could be used for any type of like rescue where we need to remove certain debris or a wall or something like to get to somebody for an emergency, those kind of things. But generally we train for, we train a few times a year, to maintain our proficiency to essentially reach certain types of, mediums. So whether it be a door, a wall, maybe like a garage door or something like that, and we can remove that so that we can get entry. Explosive breaches sounds one of those things that's scary, once you understand how it works. Yes, it is loud. It's not one of the loudest things that we have though. But it is something that it used properly, which, like that we've never used it, but when we train on it, we train it to do a proper usage. It's actually one of the safest ways to make entry. It provides some distance for the officers so that they don't have to have confrontation with the subject or subject inside, if that be one of the situations. And it allows us for rapid entry if we needed it as well.
And how many staff hours are spent training on it for you?
So I think right now I would have to do the math because the staff hours would be depending on how many operators that we have on the SWAT team at one time and whether we use it during full-time training. So it's kind of a difficult, estimate, more of I would say we have like 20 some operators right now, let's just say 20 operators, and we spend at least a 10-hour, day for training specifically on that. However, there is portions where there's certain breachers, because not everybody has that ability. So not everybody on the team, one of the requirements that we have is that you participate in explosive breaches so you know what it's like. But there's only certain people on the SWAT team that actually can build an explosive charge and then dictate how we're going to place it or put her on it. So once it's authorized by a tactical commander, it is up to the subject matter experts to be able to place it, deploy it, and how much or what we're going to use it for, whether we use it or not. So if man hours would be that, it would be a 10-hour, 20, and then I think additional training for those that are subject matter.
So the way the SWAT team trains, we train twice a month, every month, right? And then that training plan is created about $10 and we look at what are the things that we do the most and what are the things that we're lacking. And what are the things that we do the less, that's what we kind of try to focus on training to become awesome. Right? Like he mentioned, just as an example comparison, Santa Clara PD they use explosive breaching for everything. Anytime that they're gonna do a search warrant, instead of using mechanical tools, a mechanical tool is like a piece, like we call it a key bit. It's pretty much a cylindrical tube made out of metal handles. And we use that to pretty much break open the door. They don't do that. They love explosive breaching. And they do it for every search warrant. I know the chief of police over there. So that gives a little bit of comparison, right? I've been here for, I've been in the SWAT team also about 15 years. Never used it. The closest time we were gonna use it, and we did set up for it because it takes time, although they have it pre-prep, they still have to assemble it and put it together because we are doing explosive. We had a hostage situation right here at Schuylkill building at 42nd and International, where an individual took the employee hostage. At gunpoint, we had video, he was making threats, he shot through the wall over in there. So one of the decisions was made, hey, get explosive breaching ready in case, it started becoming active. That gains us is the ability, that's where it's fortified, and they set up the explosive breaching, and it comes a time where we have to activate, that's gonna buy us a lot of time. Because we can only get so close, because at the same time, if he's shooting indiscriminately throughout the door, then we can't be that close. So that buys us a lot of time to go in and react to whatever. So great tool to have to. Brad, did you do that? No, we did not. We had it all prepped and everything, and thankfully the robot did his job. We gave him cigarettes, we talked to him, we gave him water, and it was all situated.
Peaceful.
Wait, great, yeah.
He showed his face, right?
Yes.
On the sitcom word. I mean, there's people out there, one came out the message, told me to tell the people not to use words on me in the language. And retaliation, and other people come and sit down. But because the sitcom words used on people called slaves, children, talking about, they're like, drug lords. They talk with no respect, all the way to the children. They show the face. I go through it all the time. I have having to laugh because I go through that work all the time.
Another
My house
thing,
busted up.
another thing I want to mention in our SWAT team.
This is Chris.
Say again?
This is Chris got ran over and they set the place on fire. Over here on their face. I had the girls in my face or an AA. They did on the building. I walked out there and walked here in the schedule with my hands up.
Wow.
They said they called the police on themselves. That's why I come to the meeting. I work at the flea market. I get qualified police officers all the time. And I said, well, go talk to Martinez. They were gonna do that. They called me on. I was finally.
Okay, I'm getting ready to,
I'll talk to you. I'll be happy to talk to you more after this, but I want to continue with this if you don't mind. Oh, no, absolutely. We'll do that a little bit after.
And we'll be free after this to talk about whatever you'd like to talk about, man.
Why don't you step out and have a conversation with you afterwards? I mean, if I could just keep going with this regarding some of the stuff that we're discussing. Just like our, NDQ was talking about, other agencies asking us, for a policy for drone. Same thing happened with explosives. Like, other agencies were looking at, how Oakland Police Department utilizes this stuff, and we explained to them, and Camp President is exactly right. There's other agencies that this is their primary method of entry. And it's just something that we have that is like I said, that we have that is there, and sometimes it sounds like it's scary, but it's very useful at certain specific instances. So other agencies use it quite often. I think it's one of those tools that we absolutely need. One of the things that note to mention that some of this stuff has like a shelf life, like they say 5 years, and we want to continue keeping some of this stuff up. But then again, it's hard, and there is some lag time in order to get some purchasing power in order to purchase some of the new things. So I know that some of the stuff that we're facing, we're experiencing stuff that are becoming expired, still usable, but for our own policy dictates that we have to continue to replace it, maintain a 5-year shelf life. So it's one of the shelf life. Trying to work through that problem now. Thank you. Yeah, and again, we'll have a lot of time for you guys to ask questions.
Quick question for the group. We keep saying certain terminology. I want to make sure we all understand because that was a very smart question. Does everybody know the difference between an operator, team leader, and a tactical command?
No.
Okay, great. That is neither. I'm gonna have our subject matter head for cat and dog explain to you, because as we go into this equipment, and we talk about who can use it, you'll know why and the level of appropriateness.
So real quick, as a young police officer, once you have 3 years on the department, you can apply for the tactical team, and then you come on the tactical team as an officer, commonly referred to as an operator. Once you spend a number of years on the team and then you promote to sergeant, once you become a sergeant, then you could apply to be a team leader. In each step, we have tests and checks and balances. And then once you become level of command, lieutenant or captain, then you could be a tactical commander. Any questions on that?
So lots of experience before you can even apply to the very first level of employee. Any of this is awesome.
People always last one after they.
A lieutenant or a captain, either rank, could be a tactical commander.
So.
Yes, sir, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, my name's Zach Faber. I'm writing a story for Bay Area Current about the equipment. Two really brief questions about drones. The ask in the report is to go from 13 to 32, I believe. Is there any intention to expand the policy in any way? If there's more drones, I'm thinking maybe there would be more, the department would want more freedom to use them. Are there any plans to expand the policy?
To expand the policy, no, I just presented the annual report to the Privacy Advisory Commission. I did express my desire to get more drones only because obviously, the more you use it, like I said, we've deployed 478 times. That doesn't count this year, how many times we've deployed. The more times you deploy it, obviously, it's just more times you drive a car, you need to send it to mechanics, right? But there's also updated newer technology. There's newer drones. So I expect that the Privacy Advisory Commission, they understand that as well. Outside agencies are moving forward with getting the newer technology, which I've already talked to Captain Fred Angeles. The policy won't change though, it'll still be for those specific deployments. I have spoken to the Privacy Advisory Commission. I have done some research and I've looked at outside agencies that they are looking at drone first responder program, if that's what they're referring to. The drone first responder program is where you can actually respond to calls for service to assist patrol officers because the lack of staffing now. There's so many calls for service, there's less officers in the field. You can deploy a drone for the calls for service to hopefully clear those calls, provide real-time intelligence. But that'd probably be a separate policy in itself.
Okay, so the last short question, hopefully. I heard what you all said about how it's like to leave it after 5 days if there's not an investigation going on, the drone footage that is, how it's like not used, how it's only used in specific situations. I'm thinking like, I think it's you said that it wouldn't be used in protests unless people started like setting things on fire and breaking into places. So if a drone comes in and starts recording them, like I think it'd be very difficult to just get those people, we'd probably get a lot of people. So how is the department keeping that data private, prevent it from like the federal government getting it to undocumented people or other unforeseen things?
Great question. So obviously, this is probably because of the report that just came out with FLUF, automated license plate reader system that had to do with OPD providing ICE. We all know it wasn't us, it was a different agency. Our drones do not have facial recognition. So that's just make sure we understand that, we follow our policy. We don't have any video surveillance that has facial recognition at OPD. We can't use facial recognition at OPD. The system, when we download or upload, I should say, any type of video recording, it gets uploaded into evidence.com, which is on Axon. We do not provide that video to anybody unless they ask for a public records request, or unless it's for the district attorney's office. Plus, if we are doing a public records request, obviously everyone has to look at it first. Scrub it means we have to block things out before we send it out. So we'd be doing that.
And just to be clear, the Oakland Police Department does not work with ICE. We do not assist them in investigations or locating. This policy, the policy is posted on our website. I just can't remember the number of it. It just came out again because there's been multiple concerns from the community calling saying that they've seen ICE doing operations. Give me 1 second, I'll ask you a question. They do come, that's a fact. However, recently, the United States Marshals were doing operations in our city. And they also wear a green uniform, but it says U.S. Marshals. And we were getting multiple calls about ICE, but then we were able to confirm that it was the Marshals conducted operations, not ICE. Again, I'll just rephrase that. We do not assist them with investigations. We do not provide information. We do not share it. Yeah, back there. You have a question?
Yeah, I got a question. You guys bring up ICE, and it's posted all over in one language, Spanish, no other language. And, I've been deported. My child got deported by the police. I got in a fight and, defending myself. I beat up the attorney. Still be with, you know? Yeah, okay, my relative in Martinez. We're fighting at work. They went shot, took a police officer's wife and shoved her in the vehicle over there at work. And she didn't get no help. Same thing going on here. And they use a sick on lady. And these guys here, I hear on the street. What's wrong with them?
I can assure you that we don't help.
Yeah, that's right. But they want me, but I'm being harassed that I should be deported. And I've been deported. You can get, they use police officer to deport you. I don't want to be deported. Talking about calling the police on me, the city, I've been harassed by the police department and we're asking for my ID. No one else. You don't ask for an ID, their daily labor. They said they're gonna.
We can do this if you'd like after. I know you have to go to church. You said like 6 o'clock.
Yeah,
I could get your information outside. And then
Yeah,
I can
I'm
follow up with that.
why gonna be harassed like that?
Okay, I'll get your information. What you need, I'll get your information and we can talk and I'll get your call.
But you always bring up ICE, but they talking about they haven't even deported.
Okay.
My God, is really legally deported.
Lieutenant DQ will
I'll
help you
talk to you
out.
right before you leave. I'll get your
Because
information.
we gotta get moving with the, I can't hold it.
Yeah, I understand. I
Thank
just
you.
put an amendment to each of these guns, I get it.
Yeah, and I'll get to that,
No.
Okay. Okay.
I have a registry,
Yeah,
I
just-
went by there.
I think one of the concerns is not that you cooperate directly with ICE, that you cooperate or share information with entities that do cooperate. That could be a private party, or it could be the federal marshal. So, that's a concern, right? And I think, the reporter's question was, what are you doing to prevent it? Right? You have a policy not to work directly with ICE, but preventing it also means not sharing with another entity that is gonna share it with us. The federal marshals are working hand in hand. So that's a good point. My question is, in the drone policy, or the robot policy, is there anything that explicitly prohibits weaponizing the drone or robot? Explicitly prohibits putting a less lethal weapon or any other type of weapon on the.
I'm gonna have to go back and look at specific terminology, but I know there was an article that came up 2 years ago or 3 years ago about weaponizing robots. I believe it was brought up to the city council, and the police commission when I was on the ad hoc for, editing, the robot policy and the drone policy. We made specific, language on there to make sure that we were not gonna, weaponize it with, OC, with,
OC is pepper spray.
pepper spray, with, any type of, ammunition. However, I do recall we are allowed, to put, a tire puncture on there where we can actually, puncture a tire. That was approved. I have to go back and actually look at the terminology, and once I bring up the policy, then I can read it out loud if you want.
Yes, ma'am.
If you purchase new drones, will those models have the capability to do the face recognition? I heard you say that OPD cannot have drones, but you can't use drones with face recognition, but I'm not sure whether that's just because you don't have them or if some policy prevents you from ever having any that have that capability.
That's a great question. The drones I'm looking at, and any of my understanding is they don't have facial recognition. I look at the drones that the Alameda County Sheriff's Department has, San Francisco PD, Contra Costa Sheriff's Department, they don't have facial recognition.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so I'm gonna move on with this picture right here. So if you look at the top two and the picture top left too, and the bottom right, those are all the same model of rifle. It's a 223 rifle, like an AR-15 type rifle. I think a lot of people know about that. There's just different brands. The first one is the Colt. The one underneath it, I believe it is Noveski. And then the one on the bottom to the right is a BCM. Now, the top to the right, that's a different model. That is a sniper rifle. That's a chamber 308, a little bit bigger of ammunition. The snipers, again, just like the members of the SWAT team, they have to go through a 4-week school. And then they spend additional time, obviously, sharpening their skills when it comes to the sniper element.
How many rounds the whole gun?
The coat. The coat.
Yes, the rifles, all 3 rifles I'm talking about, they have, depends on the magazine. Some magazines, like that were put in the bullet, can hold 20 rounds, like 20 bullets. And then the most standard one fits 30 bullets.
That's one. Which one's got the third?
That's the one, the Colt to the one, either one of those 3 that I mentioned, except for the that one top to the right, that's a 308. That I believe only can hold 8 or 5 bullets.
Just to specify though, they are all semi-automatic weapons. And then the top right is a bolt action.
How do you?
Excuse me.
That,
But that's why I'm counting.
okay. And the models that you guys are seeing are what we call the basic model, a strict model, meaning when we acquire that piece of equipment, it does not come with what we call furniture. We have to add flashlights, a red dot, the bud stock. There's a lot of other pieces of what we call furniture equipment that needs to be attached to that rifle, and that ups the value. Just by looking at these 3 models, because right now we are looking, we talked to the ad hoc last night, we are looking at replacing our rifles because the life expectancy of these rifles right here is about 10 to 12,000 rounds. If you want to say, I'll give it to you. Once it hits the amount of rounds, then we have to start thinking about replacing because they become inaccurate at that point. It's a liability for us.
10,000 rounds in how many years?
It depends on how much.
Like roughly.
We have these for 10 years.
About 10 years.
Oh,
With
okay.
regular training, yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. I like it.
First time to use that rifle, good at learning how to use it, not then, staring and do. How do you, I don't figure out.
No, after, so again, every piece of equipment that represents is considered as, it has a specialty, right? So for you to become a patrol rifle officer, you have to attend the school. The school used to be 1 week, we turned it into 2 weeks. Again, obviously, we're given this piece of equipment, we want to make sure that the officers are responsible, all that.
I just jump in. I've been a patrol rifle instructor for 24 years, so I'm extremely proud of our program. Most departments, there's none of this training. You fire a few rounds in the academy or in-service training, and they hand you a full rifle at the beginning of your shift. Our patrol rifle program, each officer has to have a minimum of 1 year on. They have to take a physical, oral interview, and a marksmanship test. If they pass, then they go to a 2-week school to learn how to use the rifle, marksmanship, maintenance, but mainly tactics and de-escalation, how to resolve the situation peacefully. And then our patrol rifles are specifically assigned to those officers to make sure they fire true and accurate and for them to take care of it, not just a pull rifle taken out of the locker at the beginning of the shift. So our patrol rifle program is probably top in the nation.
Yes, sir.
Could the value of the furniture be as much as the value of the rifle?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, this is rifles, or like, I don't know what to compare right now.
If you want to Google aim point, red dot sight or EOTech, they're super expensive.
Thousands of dollars, they can, I mean, I mean, once you start getting into competition, that's a whole different level that, I mean, obviously, we don't do that. As comparison, like, Lieutenant Gonzalez said, CHP had an incident, I believe 10, 12 years ago. they tried to stop this individual on the 580 going to San Francisco. This individual had a manifesto, but pretty much what he was gonna do is gonna go locate people and kill them.
He was a sovereign citizen.
Foreign citizens. So they stop him and he starts shooting at this CHP officer. CHP officer started returning fire for that. Back then, I was in the investigation division, so I responded to the scene to assist. And one of the things that we noticed was that we started asking questions like, how is it that at this distance you were not as accurate? And we learned that some of those rifles that they're having were outdated. They never fired them before. Like he said, they only shoot it once or twice throughout the academy, and that's it. To us, that's a liability.
Yeah.
Right? We want to make sure that our guys have the best training and they know how to use it properly. And we focus very hard on tactics. Again, they have to follow protocol. Anytime that they remove that rifle from their vehicle, they have to put it over the radio as to why. They have a book that they write down the date, time, report number, and why was it used, right? And then they keep count of the rounds. And they keep record of that for them, and they keep record of when they do maintenance to the rifle. That helps us evaluate once it's time to start thinking about either replacing certain parts or just replacing the entire platform. And again, once we get to that point, replacing the platforms, what we do, just like we do with our pistols, we reach out to the vendors and whoever gives us the best deal, meaning we'll sell them the old rifles and they'll give us new rifles. And they'll give us credit. We'll not give the dollar for dollar. We'll give quality or pennies for the dollar. That is better than nothing, right? So.
You know, the furniture, does that have to be approved by city council, like the acquisition of that, and does it have to be included in a military equipment report?
Yes, anything over a certain amount has to be approved by city council.
Yes.
Question, so you didn't use the term seat, the well, we use the term, can you explain what this time is, catching this time?
I don't know.
Probably language, maybe verbiage.
Not one of our.
Got me there.
The first, the drums, if this situation starts to escalate, then we will bring out the drums.
Yeah. So
Is there?
it was just a First Amendment freedom of speech. We absolutely do not deploy the drones.
Yeah,
If something else happens, people in the crowd start committing criminal acts,
yeah.
firing guns, lighting buildings on fire, cars on fire, then the drone can be deployed to capture that criminal activity.
And again, we follow that protocol just like we do the rifles and the Bearcat. Permission needs to be granted and everything is over the air on the radio. So it gets memorialized and recorded. And then we do what we call an after action report on the equipment that gets supported. So again, it's documented.
And just to emphasize one more thing, like after I was talking about how the user of the patrol rifle during an incident, it just was brought out. It also gets documented in the MPU that we're talking about. On top of
Military
everything else that we
equipment
discussed, it's also
usage.
It's documented on the military equipment utilization.
That's
So,
sorry, we talk a lot about, sorry, go ahead.
Back to the rifles. So, we talked about this last night, the military equipment ad hoc committee of the police commission. Met last night with these gentlemen, and we talked about a lot of these issues. According to the report, assault rifles were deployed, 478 times. So that's 5 officers, right? So that means if the SWAT team is 8 guys, and they each have an assault rifle and they deploy, that's 8 deployments. right?
Yes.
Okay. So, 478 times, that would be fairly frequent. How many of those are the SWAT team? Like, how many percentage would you say of deployments with these assault rifles are by only with the SWAT team going out as a team? And how many are some other kinds of deployments?
The majority are patrol officers deploying the rifles. We do have a lot of up to 15 to 20 members on the SWAT team that may deploy rifles, but our call outs, the SWAT activations are very few and far between. For now, thanks to the technology we have with drones and
But do SWAT team members deploy with their rifles individually sometimes?
Yes.
Yes.
And the way.
So what's the makeup of the overall deployment? Like, are most of them? And you get a call, the individual goes with rifle, or is the majority of the deployment? You've got the team, either going in the Bearcat, they've got the whole package.
It depends, right? It depends on what the situation is. If somebody,
I'm not asking what the situation, I'm asking about the overall mix, like percentage.
well, we don't have a percentage, and I'm trying to explain to you why. Because members from the SWAT team have their own rifles that are assigned to them, just like the patrol rifle officer. And a lot of, the vast majority, probably like 90% of the people who are on the SWAT team belong to specialized units. So when they deploy the rifles, it can be in a different manner. Either they're responding to a critical incident or it's a planned operation with a search warrant where multiple are deploying. We have not gone into doing that now. However, it is reported. And I can assure you that everything gets documented on the MEU, military criminalization after action report. Or if he's a PRO, he's gonna
Patrol rifles.
patrol rifle officer is gonna document in his booklet in addition into the military criminal utilization report.
My best guess would be 80% individual patrol officers and then 20% as a member of a tactical team activation.
And so
If that
that
happens.
mostly goes out of one.
Well, that's a whole different, like, there's no such thing as a warrant to deploy a rifle. So maybe we should talk
You've got,
offline or something.
okay. But
I would say
in the
that-
report, it says, the number of these uses that were done with the one.
That's when this is when we, again, it goes back to the operation, right? If let's say, for example, like we're doing it right now, my unit is. We met with our criminal investigation division. They have an arrest warrant for an individual who's involved with the shooting. Right now, what they're trying to do is locate this individual and then do a surrounded call out. Once they do that, then we have a warrant. So because there's a warrant attached to it, maybe a false search warrant for the house. So that's how we document it. And again, it goes into that report I'm talking about. It asks about what was the situation, and that's how.
So we're just talking about the factors that led to the deployment. Was the individual armed? Did they have body armor on? Was it in relation to a criminal warrant? So that's just kind of a category to describe the situation. It has nothing to do with the actual deployment of the rifle, if that makes sense.
That's what Joel started.
So, okay, it is, Mr. Poland's question is a smart question, right? Kind of wants to know what equipment is used most of the time, versus other pieces of equipment, so we can determine efficacy of the equipment and alternatives. All of that information is captured in the MEU. While we may not have a percentage of specific percentage of the rifle versus say an entry team rifle today, it is simple calculus that is contained within the MEU, which is public information, to be posted online. Another smart question is how often are these deployments associated directly to search warrants? That's one of the criteria in 9.65. That also is captured if it's exclusively deployed for a search warrant, or if in fact they're deployed not for a search warrant. So very simple arithmetic one to do on their own within the report.
About the rifles real quick. Doing some quick math, so the department has 154 rifles. They're asking for, the department's asking 75 more. I'd like to figure out how much the department, rifles the department feels that it needs, because I also heard conversation about how these are like replacing rifles, but I see that current rifles are listed as in use. So they're being used now, it makes sense, things work until they don't work. But what is the number of rifles that the department wants to have?
So just a little background information, our patrol rifle program started up 26 years ago, following the Hollywood bank robbery in Los Angeles in 1997. With two armed suspects in body armor, took over a bank, held police at bay for over an hour, firing over 1,000 rounds. Up until then, officers only had pistols and shotguns, and they needed a need for patrol rifles, and that's how it came nationwide standard. When we started our program 26 years ago, we started with 50 rifles and 50 patrol rifles. The ones on top of that are people assigned to the tactical team and our sniper team. So right now, the 75 we want to purchase are going to go to our patrol rifle program to add to the 50. Because keeping at 50 for over 20 years obviously doesn't make sense. We need to expand and grow and make the city safer. And right now, the main part is coverage. We don't have enough officers that have been trained with rifles, that have gone through the school, and gone through 40 training to cover nights and weekends. So that's why we want the 25 more. And once again, I go back to what I said before, if we were that agency that just handed a rifle to anybody, like, we could cover nights and weekends, but they have to go through a strict testing process and a 2-week school. So that's why we like 25 additional.
And, just to add to that, we did have a discussion with the ad hoc.
25 on top of the 50, so 75 total.
So 25 going to that unit you were just talking about?
No, the patrol rifle, we're gonna get rid of the 50,
Okay,
and then we're gonna buy 75 new ones.
okay, where's like, where's the 50 listed in that?
Now, we have 50 patrol rifles currently,
Yeah, never mind that.
I'm sure.
It would probably end up being
No,
the
it doesn't
inventory.
say in the report- It doesn't say in the report that you're getting rid of 50.
No,
Right, that's what I'm
And
getting at.
I guess I'm interested.
That's
in
the question you had
codifying
last night, yeah.
That, because otherwise you're not committed.
So we had.
4 years ago, this department said that they would get rid of the Bearcat, and it still has the Bearcat. So when you said you're gonna get rid of 50 rifles, I wanna see that codified. I don't wanna see a non-binding agreement. I wanna see a commitment by the department when you say something in public that you're actually gonna follow through.
And I agree with you 100%, and we will give you that.
So we had a discussion yesterday, last night about it, and I think I tried to explain to you guys how the process works. We're talking about replacing, right, because these rifles still work. We put that in the report because at one point we are gonna replace them. And again, we show receipts for everything. If we replace those 78 rifles, we're gonna give them 50 of the old ones to replace for new ones. And then those additional rifles are gonna go to expand the patrol rifle program, because there is a need to have it. Like the lieutenant said, we don't have coverage on the weekends, meaning that officers that encounter certain situations where the equipment is needed, they don't have the equipment, and it's a disadvantage for them.
So if I could,
No, please.
this is an expensive purchase. It's $470,000 at a time when Oakland is in a deep fiscal crisis. And last year, by OPD statistics, firearms crime went down by 30%. To me, the question is, why now? When the city is in a fiscal crisis and firearms violence is going down, do you say you need more? It doesn't make any sense.
Sir,
So
can we
suggest-
wait till after?
No, this is a public meeting.
He's giving a presentation and we can make comments at the end. And I just want to clarify, this gentleman is part of the Militarized Equipment Ad Hoc Committee who has been meeting for several months now and who has been meeting with members of OPD. I would love to allow people who are not part of the ad hoc to be able to speak at the end of this.
I hear you. And it's also for you. You haven't been had access to the ad hoc.
Yes,
Yes.
the public has access to Militarized Ad Hoc
Most people
recordings
here-
as well as live video.
I know about it.
So, yes, and again, we'll hold, we'll have more questions and answers, and then I'll be happy to stay behind to explain even more the process. I mean, we're being transparent. We have receipts for everything. Everything that we do has some transactions record. We're not trying to hide anything from the public. This is new. We just started reporting 3 years ago, and we're doing the best that we can do what we have. And that's why we had an ad hoc meetings and we have these comments.
And to be respectful of everybody's time, this is
Right.
scheduled to 7 PM, but we will stay here until midnight for anybody who would like to stay and have a discussion.
Go ahead.
You can go get a cup of coffee at Starbucks.
Can I make the suggestion?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can we get through the presentation first and take questions last, please?
I'll answer it, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask the same question, why now? Why do you need more at Scotland?
Aging, the rifles are aging out.
Yes.
Right, but if the crime statistics are going down by your own word, what?
Can I add real quick, Captain, real quick?
Yeah.
Not to stop it, I'll answer that and out of respect, and I'll let you keep going, but I will say this, yes. Yes, you can show that crime is going down. I'm the captain of our criminal investigation. However, we have had 39 homicides this year. Year to date, last year, we had 51. Absolutely a stat, but 39 homicides is still crazy. That is crazy. Yes, our robberies are down by 42%. So we've had so many robberies this year, right? Our shootings are absolutely down by 30%. And I can pull up the stats for you, but just to let you know on this one. In the last 30 days, we have shot spotters throughout the city. We had 511 alert notifications. So basically, the way shot spotter works is we have sensors throughout the city, and not covering the entire city, but we do have a lot of sensors. And if an activation gets alerted of gunshots, it gets sent to a specific city. I want to say Fremont and also in LA. And within 60 seconds, that company will tell you if it's a firework activation, if it's a car backfiring, or if it's a gunshot. Well, in the last 30 days, we had 500 alert notifications of gunfire. Specifically, 1,574 rounds were fired within the city of Oakland in the last 30 days.
Or the July.
Okay, well, still, 1,574 is still a lot, okay?
That's a lot.
Now, in 2024, we had 6,280 alert notifications throughout the city of Oakland, which is an average of 525 shootings throughout the city of Oakland in a month. And I can go down if you want. 2023 was 8,300, 2022 was 7,562, 2021 was 8,965 with an average of 700. So yes, absolutely. I'm not going to say that.
This
crime
now,
isn't-
because crime costs over $10 million each day. We have- Each day, there are dozens of stolen vehicles or shot. 7-Eleven last couple of weeks ago was 7-Eleven was robbed 3 times. Right now, if somebody goes into a jewelry store and run out with diamonds and gold, and the police cannot chase after them, that does not deter crime. So if you're talking about cost, what's the cost of shops going out of business? What's the cost of people getting robbed, seniors getting assaulted, business not paying property taxes, or the business not being able to pay real sales tax, or people not buying or investing in Oakland because our revenue is down. And it's down because there's no real estate transfer tax. Our community is suffering, people are leaving. This is not working. We do not have public safety. Okay, what happened was even worse, was Pamela Price removed gun enhancement charges. On the street, what that meant was the price of guns was $300 a pop. So now you have police that don't have guns to check the criminals. So shop owners were arming up, and so now you have criminals that are armed up and on drugs, and shop owners are gonna shoot each other.
Okay, thank you,
So there's 2 perspectives on this, and we're not okay with not having public safety. I want to be that very clear.
Thank you. We have to continue, and let's be respectful of each other's, time and opinion, please. Let me finish, let me get
So-
through this, and then we'll answer questions.
So this is starting to get,
Yes.
which is great, this open conversation is great. Once again, we'll stay till as long as we can to answer any questions. If you have a question, raise your hand, ask the question, and then no follow-up comments after that, please.
Can we take
What's that?
area?
Yeah, you can take a picture around.
All right, so this next slide is our chemical munitions. We have a variety of chemical munitions that are in our report, but these are the most common ones that we use. The one right here on the left is a riot control, pretty much is aluminum can that you pull the pin on it and it releases CS gas. It burns very hot. You can only use this one outdoor, right?
Yes.
CS gas. It has a long name, I'm not gonna try to pronounce it. It's not tear gas, it's CS gas. CS and CN gas is not the same. CN, we have not used CN gas for years. CN gas, I think, is still used by the Department of Corrections, but we do not use CN. We use CS gas. It does have a life expectancy of 5 years. We do not use it once it's expired. We only use it for training. Again, this is equipment can only be used by members of the SWAT team. We don't have our own in-house training, so we do send our members
down to San Diego for a week-long school for this type of equipment. Again, you have to be trained on it because you can get hurt, you can hurt somebody if you use it properly. That's why we have all these steps that we have to follow before we can deploy them. The one in the middle right here, that is a CTS, most common name is flashbang. So pretty much what it is it's the body right there, you pull the pin and it creates a loud sound. It's a light sound device. It does not, propagate any materials. All it is, it's a light sound device system. We have to be trained on how we use it. There's guidelines that we have to follow. There's case law that we have to follow, on how we deploy this. There's been incidents where these things go off on the police officer. Police officer's been killed because of this. Their hand's been blown off because of this, and they have hurt people because of this, because they don't deploy them in the proper manner. That's why there was case law created on this. And then the other one is, again, just a variation of the CS riot control canister. And all the obviously more details on the report. Yes, sir.
Yeah, a question about the flashbang.
Yes.
I believe in 2011, during the Occupy Open protest, there was an Operation Iraqi Freedom Center, like that protest, and police officers improperly deployed flashbang grenade that resulted in him getting a skull fracture, but,
I know, you're talking about Scott Olson, right?
yeah, and then, to finish up, so the people conducting the crowd control or phenomenon is responsible for your tactical operations, correct?
Well,
Elaborate on that situation?
it was undetermined who, there was CS flags deployed, and it was.
Captain, may I?
Yes, please.
I was standing on
There.
line when I had,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
So we were online at Franklin Gallup Plaza. There is a combination of officers outside agencies throughout Oakland on the front line. Scott Olson was not hit by a flashbang. He was hit by a beanbag round fired from a 12-gauge shotgun. It wasn't determined what agency shot. So then we changed our policy that only Oakland police officers will be on the front line and not outside agencies. Yeah, on the front line, yes, sir.
So that's part of our mutual agreement and policy. Anytime that we have anything that has to do with personnel and projects during riots or anything, Oakland can be on those certain lines. The outside agencies are going to be assigned to our buildings, and this is coming straight from the policy.
And outside agencies, you're use this equipment, any equipment, like for example, ICE, or any other agency?
So yes, well.
So every agency has different equipment they use. We're not subject matter experts in anything else any other agency uses, so we can just speak to what Oakland uses.
But can they use your equipment?
Use our equipment? No, we don't have that kind of money. Our equipment,
This also.
federal agents, so no, they cannot, yes.
This is a smart question, so I think to your point, so for the city of Oakland, if we request mutual aid, which mutual aid is outside agency assistance. We have a very strict protocol built in our cloud control policies, 3G on the internet, and that policy specifically states that if OPD requests mutual aid, and we provide them with all of our policies, procedures, and limitations by our policies, and we request that we inspect their equipment. If they choose to give up equipment that's not authorized for OPD, then we can utilize them in a more forward fashion. If they refuse to give up their equipment, then they have to be in the back lines, only protected vital facilities, and not, as the lieutenant said, on the front line. We cannot dictate external agencies as they operate within the city of Oakland and the equipment that they use. But if they choose to assist us because we call for mutual aid, it is built in our policy that we request that they remove said items or be placed in the back where they're less likely to contact the public.
And while I add to that, we assign pathfinders to them. What pathfinder is the police officer that's going to be assigned to that specific police department, and they have an inventory sheet, and they have to go through that. And if it doesn't meet the guidelines that we requested, then we tell them you can't deploy this type of equipment on this incident. They have the choice to leave it behind and help us or not help us at all. That we can't control. But just to answer your question, no, they cannot use our gear because other agencies use different types of gear. They will not use any gear that does not belong to us that we're not. So just to continue on the less legal stuff, that is a 40 millimeter launcher right here. The black one on the left, what it deploys, they can deploy a couple of things. They can deploy gas. And it can also deploy a foam baton. The shotgun right there, it's color coded. That is a real shotgun. You can load real ammunition on it, but the reason is color coded is for that reason itself, because this can be used by members of the SWAT team or even patrol officers. But yes, there are trained. They get many hours of training with the shotgun. Pretty much what they get loaded with, it's what we call like a bean bag. It's a piece of cloth that has lead in it that is tied up. And the reason they do that is because when this gets deployed and it hits a part of the body, it conforms to the body. It's not like the wooden dials that other agencies used before back in the day. We don't use those for the same reason, because they're less lethal, they're non-lethal. They can kill somebody if you don't use them properly. So again, they go through a lot of training. There's certain areas of the body you cannot target, right? The head, the neck, fine, you gotta stay away from those areas. And then again, as I said, a lot of training goes into
You think what other things in the state law restrict the use of these projectile weapons and the 80-48 restrictions and put in traffic control?
Yes, so thank you, good question. So during crowd control, we cannot use the less lethal shotgun during a crowd control situation. Pretty much what we're talking about, we cannot indiscriminately shoot that weapon into a crowd. It would have to meet the threshold of deadly force, which means we can use your gun as when using your gun. For us, we can't deploy those during crowd control situations. That shotgun right there is part of our organization. Now, this piece of equipment right here is the LRAD. Help me out, I don't know what.
Long range acoustics. There.
Take the mic.
Thank you. There it is. So this is a piece of equipment that our hostage negotiators use in multiple situations, during crowd control situations or during sideshow. Pretty much what it is, it's a loudspeaker, like you said, and it's very loud. There is policy, you can't deploy within 50 feet of the target location. So again, this is mostly used by our hostage negotiators. And then the one that you have right here on the right is pretty much like a regular crowd control helmet. It has a shield in the front and it's just like almost like a motorcycle helmet. Each helmet that a police officer owns has a 4-digit number, and that is a serial number.
Then I thought that's 5 now.
Oh, now 5, we're over thousands. The way that we keep control of our officers, besides obviously, you brought it up, part of our policy. Every police officer has to have a name tape that has to say your name, and then that 4 or 5-digit number is gonna be your serial number. So if you're out there in a crowd control situation and, they can see your number, that's how they can identify, okay, who is 8803, that's mine. So, okay, that belongs to Officer Chris. So those just are identifiers that we must have when we deploy this type of equipment. And we also have to document it when we take it out of the cars and we have it on our person. It has to be documented. So these are some of the, again, talked about this a lot, it's on the report. These are some of the most used piece of equipment, and you guys can see Lieutenant DQ talked about it earlier, the type of deployments. Those are the models of the drones. The Mavic being the most used one. And then you got the minis, which are part of the interiors. The Militarized is a big one that can operate in inclement weather. And then the rest of the equipment. The most used, as you guys can see the numbers. I know we talked to the Adhoc team last night. It used to be the Bearcat, and now are the drones because they're in such demand. Yes, sir.
Per year or?
Yes, per year.
This-
Last year, not this year.
Right.
Last year. Thank you.
This for a city of 500,000 people who need to be protected, and this is the number of times it's used, so being contacted, a tiny fraction of times it's being deployed.
Sir, thank you, and again, I appreciate your passion, and I know you're on the side of law enforcement, but let's just try to keep to the presentation and specific questions.
You're doing math, it's actually-
Thank you, I might take you out to dinner.
So, the next one is the Colt. The Colt platform is the patrol rifle, platform that we have. And as you can see, it kind of makes sense with what Lieutenant Gonzalez was saying with the percentages. You see the amount of the ones that I think are PRO, patrol rifle officers, patrol rifle officers, are those counts, the ones that have more deployments. And then it goes down again, the rest of the piece of equipment, the other models. We do have a couple of chemical energy deployments, but most of those deployments have been during sideshow situations. We do deploy chemical munitions during sideshow situations, but it has to be your threshold.
I'm a little confused because that says 97, the report says 260 for the call. And I'm just.
No.
We're describing, they must be describing.
That's a
that
total.
thing.
All
The total
rifles. Of
everything.
all rifles.
Yeah.
This says the call with the question time, that's the 97.
Okay, so there's a difference between the number of times versus how many on one scene. Because sometimes there's, 10 or 12 rifles on one deployment scene. So that's the difference.
So basically an average of 3 rifles per year.
We do have time, I'm not gonna go back.
And sir, if you want to go over this stats in depth, like, once again, we'll stay here late for you, but we want to be respectful to everybody else's time.
So, as I was mentioning, we do deploy some chemical munitions during sideshow. You guys all know, we call them takeovers. I think that's what this column is. So, they haven't been involved in a lot. It used to be where police officers would show up and they will disperse, and then just start getting more bold. There's been a lot of crime related to sideshow. People have been killed, people get robbed, people get hit. We have used the Bearcat multiple times to go do rescues, because while people get hit while their cars are doing donuts, I should have brought videos. You go to YouTube, there's videos of this out of control. So for us to safely go in there, we'll go with the Bearcat. We have to, because we have to make it safe. We'll pick up that person and fly first aid or allow the ambulance to come in. And sometimes we do, that's the best tool that we have to deploy. And it's that will disperse the crowd, that will stop the action itself. And it's very, it has minimal intrusion. We have to get exposed to chemical munitions for us to be able to deploy. So we get contaminated a lot. I mean, if you're in the open, or 5 minutes later, you're good to go. That's not really serious, injury at all. So again, just some of the stuff that we use, that we deploy, that we have to document, and those are some of the.
Are drones used for during sideshows as well?
Yes, the moment they start shooting guns, that is a crime scene. Is the penal code 246, gunfire in the air. Sorry, I thought you were saying you're mimicking the gun. Go ahead.
Why do you need the Bearcat? So, say if you recover someone, why can't you use another vehicle, other armored suburban?
It could be either one. That's a good question. It could be either one. So, the Bearcat, as we explained earlier, is kept at the Eastmont substation. Most of the sideshow takes part in East Oakland. It starts and does go to the west too. So again, it's wherever that piece of equipment is. And if that's what I have closest, because we're up 73rd, and sideshow is happening in East Oakland, it doesn't make sense for us to wait for the suburban to come all the way from the west to where it's happening. We'll use the piece of equipment that is the closest that's gonna help us. And to us, it's a month. I mean, if people are shooting guns or people are down on the ground because they got hit by a car, we have to go rescue that person. It's not safe for us to go in there with no armor, because all it takes is from shooting to the air to just point the gun and start shooting. Which it has to happen. So,
That's a football Yeah, please. So when we toured, the Bearcat Ranch a couple of years ago, it was downtown, Seventh Street.
What year was this?
Is that where we put it?
No, we specifically brought it down there for convenience.
Sure, I just
Yeah,
haven't finished. Yes,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for finish what I'm saying. It was there, they didn't say that it was only there for the tour, they said that they put it, at any of the locations. That it wasn't a station at least, where it's like,
Do you know what year that was?
2022.
Before COVID,
Or COVID.
things have changed.
We used, back in the day, before we had the armored funnel, we had it downtown, but then when we got that piece of equipment, we decided to go back to Fort Vance, let's keep it, the Eastmont substation, and let's keep the Tahoe in the west, the running one. We do store it there, and the reason we store it there is that's where we have our hook for the body work cameras there, the storage, because they need power. So that I know for a fact that's what we.
There's a top, on the top, or suburban.
Suburban, sorry, suburban.
And it's one suburban.
One Suburban and one Bearcat.
And to be clear, the ask in the report is for 2 more armored vehicles, right?
Yes,
So there would be 3 total, right?
well,
And
sorry, go ahead.
then the Bearcat as well, there's already a Bearcat. Are you guys requesting 1 more Bearcat or 2 more Bearcat?
We're requesting, additional Bearcat. Once this Bearcat, and it was created, 2005, once it meets its,
I understand it's total, and,
yes, we want to,
okay, yep, so 2 total, not 2 more.
no, 2 total.
Okay, so you want to, so there's the one that's in 2005, it's very old.
Mhm.
You're requesting 2 in addition to that, right?
Yes,
2 total, and then we will disband the original Bearcat.
Decommissioned.
The decommissioned, smart.
So the intention is to get 2 more Bearcats, then take the old one and decommission it.
Correct.
Okay.
And keep it for right.
Well, just to speak on the Suburban, it's on its last leg. It's not gonna be operational for much longer.
So him, he was
Go
over there.
ahead.
No,
Yeah,
no.
I'm gonna ask a question.
I'm curious, where's the lowest protection of the standard patrol vehicle?
Zero.
Nothing, zero. The engine block, we teach to protect yourself from the engine block. And that's, we teach, well, I would say, the front where the windshield is, we call that the A pillar. And then where the door is, we call that the B pillar, and then in the back, the C pillar. But nothing protects you. A rifle round that is shot in the street can go through everything. The only thing that will protect you is the engine block.
It's a hard question because some agencies do have police protection, we do not.
New York does that. Sorry, go ahead, sir.
Approximately how many sideshows occur annually in Oakland?
That's a great question. I don't know it roughly. I can tell you this, I've been working them the last 3 weekends. We had 2 out of the 3 weekends. So they come here often. What stops sideshow is when we have enough people to do what we call containment. There's a recent law that passed in California is when we have new OMCs from the city where we can contain them. And if we know they're participating or spectating, meaning facilitating, then we can take a part and put a hold. So when we do containment, we take a lot. Cinco de Mayo, I'll give you an example. We end up seizing about 70 vehicles. And this is the thing that we notice about this is probably like 80% of the vehicles that we seize were from out of town. They're not even from Oakland. They're from other cities. They like to come from Vallejo. They like to come from Yuba City. They like to come from Antioch. They go to San Jose, and they always have a route. They'll start in Vallejo. They'll go to San Francisco. San Francisco will pick them out. They go to San Jose. San Jose will pick them out, and then they work their way over here.
Because we invite crime to Oakland.
They can start rolling.
There's no consequence. They're all want to come here.
Please, sir, let us finish, and then again, Lieutenant Gonzalez is gonna take you out for dinner.
So
Sounds like
especially with
he
the
needs
the high price tag items such as the Bearcat and the rifles. Is this, you said before, a lot of this equipment was purchased through grants.
Yes.
Is the department gonna be applying for grants to get that stuff? Is it gonna come from the department budget? Is it gonna come, yeah,
The
Always
price,
seeking grants.
yes,
okay.
When we
So
can, yes.
we don't know at the
We
moment.
don't know.
Okay, gotcha.
thank you.
Including the right,
We don't know.
regularly gonna come from the general fund.
Most likely, yes.
We did not get any, negative impact reports last year when using this equipment. We do get complaints that it's unrelated to how we use the equipment. So what that tells me is that whenever we deploy this equipment is people are being responsible and they're properly trained. Again, Lieutenant Gonzalez is a perfect example of how we train. Yes, training is expensive, but it's worth it. It reduces liability and reduces risk for the community members and for itself. We are very meticulous when it comes to training.
I just wanted to answer one of his questions about the grants. I was recently looking for grants. And a lot of things that are, because of the government that has changed in the White House, they're not offering grants to sanctuary cities. So that's a problem that's starting to arise. So the responsibility will start to fall on the cities.
All right, so again, training summary, we kind of use this as an example. I mean, we do not, we're not able to break it to the granular level until we apply that software that I was talking about. But how we keep track of this is like, who's training on the equipment, how many people are trained on it, and how many times we train a year. We kind of do the average of the kind of the hourly rate. But for the most part, the officers that are gonna be part of this are gonna be in the middle, which are senior officers. That's just a way that we kind of keep record to provide an average. It's not the perfect system. I'll be the first one to admit that. Kima has done a phenomenal job trying to crunch the numbers. We consulted with our fiscal people and the answer is like, we can't do that way. Hopefully with the new software, if we get it implemented this year, by next year, this report will look a lot better. Again, training depends on what unit you are. The SWAT team trains twice a month. The patrol rifle officers train 6 times a year. How often do your unit train?
Twice a month.
Twice a month, just like, because they're like part of the SWAT team. And just the same thing as our hostage negotiators, training. That's kind of like the estimates that we get. Snipers, the same thing. They're part of the SWAT team. We have about 16 snipers, and they train twice a month. Their equipment is a little more expensive. Their bolt guns are a little bit more expensive. They just acquired the Seekins rifle that's in the report. It's an AR-10 platform, but it's still a .308 caliber equipment. Their rounds are more expensive than that PP3 round. That's. And Kima, what's this insert? Did we get to that or no?
Yeah, no, we were supposed to get a QR code so that the report would be made available for everybody to view in detail. However, because we're currently in the transition of our website, everything that's electronic is currently has to be approved. So we're in a waiting period. However, there's a sign up sheet over there and you can provide your information, and the recording along with the report could actually be sent to you if you did not get a copy here today.
Is the transfer, the city has a new website, correct?
Yes,
Which is relatively recently.
the July the 1st, I believe. Yeah.
Is that the reason that the report isn't on the website now?
Correct. We're still having technical difficulties trying to get it up.
And then another thing that I would want to bring up, OPD, we go through a lot of change. Obviously, we work multiple hats. We get moved a lot. I just got moved into this position, so we see a lot of movement because of the staffing issues that we have. And again, when one person leaves, we have to pick up where the left, and our goal is to make the system better. Our goal here tonight was to be as transparent as we can. Again, we have to have discussions with the ad hoc team, a lot of good feedback. If you want to set some time aside to talk about the Bearcat replacement, sit down, we can talk a lot more and we can compare models and come to an agreement where we're both sides are happy with what we take. That's the end of my presentation. Now we open up for any questions, please.
First of all, thank you so much for that report, and I understand it is a work in progress. Just so everybody knows, we have about only 520 active officers in the Oakland Police Department. And, for you all, and especially Kima, to put together all the time and this report is really much appreciated. And again, as I said, it's not perfect, but we're getting there. And I do appreciate the Militarized Equipment Ad Hoc Committee for keeping, us on track, and keeping us accountable. And by us, I mean the city of Oakland. Now, my question is about the procedure. We're talking, I thought this was gonna be a presentation on the report and the use of what was used last year. But we talked a lot about new equipment. So what is the procedure? Who is involved? OPD, I guess, proposes to who approves it, who rejects it, is city council involved? If you guys can go through that procedure so that we know,
Yes,
that'd be great.
Captain Bell is gonna.
Great question. We're keeping it high level. So the requirement is 9.65, and what we try and do is constantly review our equipment, get your feedback on what equipment, based on the data, community's, input on what is, effective, and if something is less effective, or there's even a more effective technological advanced item like, Captain Dazakiro was talking about with the drones, then we review that equipment and we do what we call an impact report. And the impact report has a significant amount of information. All of the equipment you see here today has an associated impact report that will be included online, associated costs on the equipment, labor, maintenance fees, life expectancy, everything like that. And then we put together the equipment that we request in the impact report. We present that to the commission. Now, the commission must review and approve that before we can seek funding. That's where, what I discussed earlier, it's very important that we get that equipment, that information to the commission, because what we found is like the UASI grant, they have very strict timelines. And if we don't get that information turned over very quickly, get your input very quickly, get the permission very quickly, we lose significant opportunities that neighboring agencies to take advantage of this.
Just to follow up, is, the approval by commission for new equipment or also for equipment that replaces current equipment?
Well,
Oh, thank you.
And could, the full commission is meeting next Thursday, and we'll review this report that they just presented. And then I think you asked, it does go then to the city council. The city council has final approval. Yeah, both under the local ordinance and under the state law. And do you know when that date will be, when the council will be?
I don't have the date.
Yeah, not yet.
Do you know if it'll be, in the fall or in the summer?
I don't wanna speculate. I don't know. Sir?
Yeah, I was just thinking, since it is expensive and it is infrequently used, would it be cheaper to have the state police take over these operations? It just seems like to me, it's something infrequent and it's expensive, and the state has more money. It makes more sense to have the state police come up and break up the shop and bring the barricade in, and then have them buy the barricade and have them store the barricade, you know? It just seems like that'd be a cheaper way to do.
So that's a great thinking outside the box, but a lot of these things are extremely time sensitive, matter of minutes and seconds, and to wait on, you're saying state police have.
Yeah,
The California,
maybe or
no,
something.
California Highway Patrol. is.
Yeah, or something
California
like
State
that. I don't know the whole system.
Yeah, that wouldn't be efficient at all, and that would cost lives.
Okay.
Yeah.
it's a smart question.
I think you get.
Yeah, even our chief of police did consider that with our helicopter, because obviously it's a piece of equipment. He's a pilot, Captain, Lieutenant Gonzalez.
Just one more thing.
It's like 30 years old, I believe. He had an emergency. They were flying from, down
Good
south.
job.
Military, it failed, they had an engine failure. And, thanks to him and the other pilot, they were able to take it. We are dealing with old equipment, but we still use it. We know it's expensive. And believe me, we consult with other agencies, like, our partners, the sheriff department, they have a helicopter, and we oftentimes request they use other helicopter because our helicopters are in maintenance a lot, because again, they're
No,
old.
they have more.
We also use the California Highway Patrol, fixed wing. So we do seek help from outside agencies. CHP does help us big. And when it comes to like something like one like yours, like the lieutenant said, it's just tactically, it doesn't make sense to keep it that far, because by that time we'll be.
Can I also add one more thing to that? If another agency has control of it, we don't. So how it's used is not gonna be up to us.
How it's used, how it's maintained.
And if there's something goes wrong, we'll have to say, because of the state, not the city.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to just reframe the expectation about when the commission will vote on this. We're working with the police department, and as they get us the information, that's when it will be agendized. our meeting is next Thursday, but I'm in the process of agendizing it now. And we need to make sure this is resolved before we commit to the public of when this is gonna happen. So you'll hear more about that. I'll work hand in hand with our chair of our militarized equipment ad hoc. And then you'll know when we will do that as we collaborate with OPD.
Another important thing to
Thank you.
know is that, Oakland, while we have certainly been the pioneers, especially with the polling systems, with Assembly Bill 481, nationwide agencies are recognizing the perceived impacts of this type of equipment and what it does in the community when it's deployed. With that, a lot of these manufacturers are lending options that are less visually intrusive on the community that these are being sold to. And we particularly found that out with the Bearcat and that manufacturer. A lot of the options that they have are now available out there that do not look as aggressive as current and old units that you would see. And OPD is prepared to present several models to the commission for consideration.
So you had a question about there, Mr. Wayne?
Thank you. My name is Dave and I apologize, I'm late through the traffic. So if you already answered this, sit me down. The presentation was excellent. I have a more theoretical question, which is where does this all end? Meaning, I'm fortunate to have lived all over the world in some of the world's most dangerous and also safest cities. It seems our approach is, if I can simply simplify groups by saying the bad guys have bigger guns than we do, so we're gonna get the same type of guns that they do. If they have no ethics on their side, where does this end? And I can tell you, in the world's safest cities, they differentiate themselves not with bigger guns, but with more manpower and more police. And that appears to be outside of our budgetary option. So we're just buying more guns. So I go back to my question respectfully, and thank you for all your time working late. Where does this end?
We used to put them in jail and prosecute them.
Sir, your opinion is very clear. I didn't ask you. I'm asking.
Sir,
you.
please be respectful to everybody. Please be respectful to everybody.
I am.
So, good question. I think, where it ends, I think we, as an agency, start leveraging technology, block cameras. Those have been a game changer for us. Yes, as we adopt and acquire new technologies, so does the criminal element. They adopt, right? Because when they get arrested and they get prosecuted, there's this thing called discovery. We show everything that we do, even our tactics. They get to read all that. That's part of the process. So they adapt to that, right? Block cameras, we start installing them throughout the city. They've been successful. What the criminal have been doing, they locate the cameras and they're running them over. What we try to do to be safe, we're not buying more guns or bigger guns. We're replacing the ones we have. But I think what I take pride on is that the way we deploy it, the way that we use the tactics, the way we use this Bearcat, the way we do what we call takedown, meaning we have plainclothes officers following this subject that we want to discuss. We pick the optimal place to do that and the safest place to do that. That prevents escape, prevents them from ramming our vehicles and it resolves a lot of issues. And we don't get into many issues like we did in years past. And I pray that to our tactics and the equipment that we have, and I think it's needed. Hopefully that answers.
In my personal opinion, I think technology is gonna be the answer to this, put it simply.
Sure.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate the gentleman, how many questions I've had. I feel like there really won't be an end to it because it's not really designed to get to the root problem of why these things are occurring. But in terms of, FTE, has the police department ever considered what kind of,
Raise my hand, I don't know what that. What is that?
full-time employees?
Full-time employees.
Okay. Police department ever considered doing like the auxiliary force, like, New York Police Department has, for example, like a volunteer force, but I believe they have like over 500 volunteers.
So one more thing I do is used to oversee our reserve program also, which is volunteer officers. The problem with that is the training, like we have cops out there every single day, 40+ hours a week, and they're not doing everything 100%. To bring in somebody that only goes onto the street once or twice a month would be devastating to the city of Oakland.
One thing I do want to say is, I do appreciate the gentleman's comment in the back. well, we are very good at our craft and, especially Captain Dudley here, we found like the robot dog and all kinds of cool stuff I never thought existed. There are folks in this room who are IT experts. They've traveled the world. They've seen alternative sources of equipment, alternative policing models. That's what we're here for. Don't be afraid to bring up any type of equipment or policing strategy you feel could be effective. And we will consider, all options and obviously provide an answer. So, like they have I think provide these big finger with eggs that are extremely effective. You can't push them over. They see absolutely everything. Could that be for our community? Maybe not, right? It's a little intrusive, but it's still something out there for consideration. So I appreciate you bringing that up in your experience.
Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned the ad hoc committee several times. Can someone explain to me what the?
Right here.
I'm a chairperson. Go ahead.
Yes. Yeah,
What
what
is this one?
what is the purpose?
Oh, she's gonna,
What's the purpose of the committee, and is it an interface between the police department and something else, or I'm just trying to get a sense of what your.
Sure, so
There is
the
on that
police
side.
commission in general has different ad hoc committees where smaller groups can get together and actually implement or work through different initiatives. The militarized equipment ad hoc is the one, keep my gum in my mouth, is the one. That's right. The militarized equipment ad hoc is the one that's been working through this process with OPD. This amazing panel here and Ms. Kima work with our commissioner chair, Wilson Riles, raise your hand. Our alternate commissioner, Omar Farmer, there, and then our commissioner, Sam DeWitt. The way our ad hocs work, the charter mandates that there can be no more than 3 commissioners at a time having a discussion before it needs to be public, posted, noticed, and involve all the public. So these smaller groups only have 3 commissioners on them. It is open to the public. So if you go to our website, you can sign up to be a member. I think that's closed now because there needs to be a small enough group to make impact as part of a featured participant, but not too large that it becomes chaotic. But you can come and you can listen at any time. Ms. Rajni knows, she was at our last meeting or the meeting before. You can come, you can listen and hear what's going on. So we definitely open that up to everyone.
And this is Ms. Micah Montgomery, Chief of Staff. of the
She's
Police
great.
Commission. And then are there members of the public that are also part of this ad hoc?
So Mr. John Poland, tell me your full name again.
John Lindsay.
John Lindsay Poland is one of the members. He's a public member, and that's a featured participant. And even nice, right? Hello, sir. How are you? He's also a member.
And Mr.
You-
Onion?
Where, yes, Amaya Erickson. Do I get it backwards every time?
Oh, you got it.
Amaya Erickson. So these are what we call.
No.
Yes, that's right. Hello, there we are.
Yeah.
So what, they're featured participants. What that means is they heard the call to join the ad hoc, and they joined the ad hoc within the time frame they needed to become a featured participant. Once that window closed, then that group is sealed, but anyone from the public can come and listen. So yes, and thank you for all of you who did come to support, the work that you've been doing and working with the police department. Thank you so much for putting this on. I think it was great. I mean, I sit in these meetings and I listen and to what you guys are talking about, but this, for me, even was a better way to hear what it means, what you're saying, So thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have a couple more minutes for a couple more questions.
Question in the back.
Somebody who has, go sir in the back. Thank you.
Thank you. I understand there's a meeting next Thursday. Will there be other similar community meetings or town halls like this in the coming weeks or during this?
Specific to the military equipment?
Yeah.
So specific to military equipment, we have every other week, we have the ad hoc meeting. What they were talking about for next week is our commission meeting. It hasn't been agendized yet for that meeting. Something could change if we get something faster, but I have to post like in 5 minutes. So it probably will not be for our Thursday meeting, but it could very well be for the next meeting. We're also planning to have another community meeting for the commission August 28th. So just look, if you're not on our distribution list, go to our website and sign up, and that way you can get all of the communications that I send out and you're kept in the know.
Thank you. And the time frame for next Thursday,
5:30 to 9-ish, 10-ish, but it starts at 5:30. The commissioners open the meeting and immediately go into closed session. And then they come out at approximately 6:30, and that's when it begins. So I say that so you're not sitting there for a full hour while they're in closed session.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I would like to add that Kima, also what she did was she went through other agencies, nearby throughout the Bay to see how they report, right? We're always trying to innovate the way we report out. Again, this is our third report. We recognize that there's room for improvement to give a more concise numbers, and that's what we're gonna strive for on the next report. Again, we're open for any suggestions. Please, like Captain Fellow said, if you find any ways of equipment, technology, ways of doing things differently, we're open for all of
If
it.
you're really good with numbers and you want to help with the math.
Yes,
We'll take that.
I'll
too.
take it.
Yeah.
We need tenfold more equipment, tools.
This is a team effort, right?
We need
And all
people.
of us, police and the community. Right? It
We
has
should
to-
put on a ballot, and hopefully we'll vote for it.
He had a.
I guarantee it, every coffee on the price.
Go ahead, sir, I'm sorry.
I promise,
Yeah.
I've got two more short ones.
Okay.
Drones used in sideshows, are those ever used to identify just people that spectate? They don't shoot guns, they don't, drive cars around in circles, but they're just having a good time and watching the sideshow?
Once you start, doing what we call donuts,
Yeah.
that's to us, it's been committed an infraction, right? And then once we get intelligence,
The donuts
I'll
are
let the-
infraction or the?
You guys are the
watching
experts on
infraction?
facilitation of sideshow and.
watching them.
so
Watching or doing?
watching is it's an infraction now. If you're a spectator, that's a new law that just passed.
Yeah.
It is a new law, and that's a tool that we use. It is.
So, I think you get my question, just, are the drones used to, I guess, catch people that are watching the sideshows?
So, can I answer that question?
Go ahead.
So when we deploy the drone, again, we have to start recording. So we're constantly recording, we're trying to figure out exactly what's happening. We're trying to capture the vehicles that are spinning donuts.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure out, hey, there was someone
More
that was
serious.
identified as shooting a firearm in the crowd. And the person is said to be wearing a blue hoodie. So we are looking for that person.
Yeah.
And then we are looking at, wait, why are 3 people running into a trunk right now, opening the trunk, taking out 4 backpacks and now running down the street to try to throw it underneath the car? So we are tracking as much as we can. So if you're asking whether or not we're looking at what people are doing within the crowd, inside the sideshow, absolutely.
But is it used just for people, is it used like, because watching sideshow is an infraction, is it, you guys ever enforce people watching it, using the drones to like
So
catch people?
I can't say that from whenever that state law went into effect in the city ordinance, I believe it's only been 1 citation that we've ever
Okay.
issued. So if that answers your question, it's only been 1
So
citation.
it doesn't.
Have we ever identified people, tossing, backpacks and then later identified that there's actually a fire in that backpack and then identify that person and arrest them? Absolutely.
And then my other, so I guess what I'm hearing is that hasn't really happened much in terms of what I said. But you guys do monitor the general area and see what's going on and see if anybody else is doing anything that's concerning. Or you-
Once we have authority to actually deploy, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and then my last one is, the Bearcat is a turret, right?
Yes,
The Bearcat's used for defense, right? What is, like, why is it necessary to have the turret? Well, for the crowd, what is a turret?
the turret is, let me see if I can go back and find the picture. What you refer to the turret is and I think I described it a little bit. It's like a hat on the roof of the vehicle. It has a handle where it opens up, and once it opens up, it produces like a shield that you can use as cover. Now, the reason we use the turret, it has multiple applications, but one of them, if we go to deploy the Bearcat in a location where, let's say we're dealing with a building having multiple stories, and they have what we call a hydrant, right? For us, it's important that we use that turret as coverage. That's one of the uses, and it has multiple applications.
It can also be used for a rescue, if we had to rescue somebody from an elevated position in a second story window and then bring them down through the hatch at the top.
And we put our cameras there too. Okay, that's one of the places where one of our cameras is, because it's short. Yes.
Just so y'all are aware, you know, Mr. Lindsey Cohen did put out talking points, and the turret is on here, and he describes it as a shooting platform. And I just want to again say, the people who are in the front giving this presentation do have, you know, they do have to tell the truth, and they do have to be as accurate as possible. A lot of the times when we get talking points that are not from the people who are speaking, they may not be accurate, so I just want to.
But they have been used to shoot guns before, right? Like,
Yes.
special
Yes.
I know, Dr. Paul.
And that specific comment about,
So, yes, so let me give you an example. A shooting platform could be the trunk of my car, it can be this. It's something that the person's gonna use for two things, either cover or concealment. There's a difference between those, or, like I said, to use, to stabilize himself if he needs to take an accurate shot. Yes, have we used it? Do we train on it? Yes. But to that talking point, it is not specifically a shooting platform. That is kind of misleading. Can it be used? Yes, but if if you frame it that way, to me is telling me that I only use it for that.
A common question we will get is, well, why don't you just buy Suburbans as opposed to Bearcats? The problem is the Suburban obviously has significant disadvantages, and in fact, it's deadly protection on fire to the people that are inside of it, but it also doesn't have the vertical armor capacity that the Bearcat does to allow us to safely rescue from elevated position. So the turret also allows us to lift the turret and provide anybody that we're trying to rescue coverage as well from potential danger in whatever debris angle that we need. So it has much more significant capabilities than a Suburban. And again, there are much less intrusive options out there that do have the turret, but also have the capacity to keep everybody inside safe.
Sure.
I appreciate that. My name is John Lee. I work for the American Friends Service Committee. I take your point about what was in those talking points. That was quoting the federal monitor who described the way in which that piece of equipment was used in the going. So I take your point. So stand corrected. I just want to let people know also, the American Friends Service Committee monitors the compliance, the implementation of AB 41 all across California. There are aspects of OPD's policy, for example, the armored vehicle policy, which is considerably better than other jurisdictions. There are also issues, right? So that's why we bring them up. And because people were asking for resources, we have a webpage that has a lot of resources about AB 41. You can see it at afsc.org/AB481. For example, we have a map of what military equipment, police departments in the Bay Area have, sheriffs all across the state have. And I really appreciate everything that you all have shared tonight. And also, one of the things about AB 481, partly to your point, sir, is that people can not only ask questions at these community engagement meetings, but the state law says also to express concerns or opinions. So it's not only to ask questions of the agency, it is also to express our opinions. And there will be other opportunities when the police commission considers this and when the city council considers it. And so I do hope that there are ways, people signed up on the sheet over here, the department can share information, the commission can share information through Ms. Montgomery. We can share information from American Friends Service Meeting. In our community, we need to be able to share information and understand where the opportunity, when we can not only ask questions, but also share.
Sir?
Yeah, no, I also want to thank you for having this forum. It's much easier to have a discussion here in person. than-
Absolutely.
So let's see.
Absolutely.
In person.
Absolutely.
So thank you for being here. Thank you for putting this together for our discussion about the beer can.
And we would love to meet in person anytime. Just
Yes,
let us know.
yes.
We are
You gonna buy
available
me dinner?
anytime.
Go ahead. I will offer this to everybody too. We do ride-alongs. You're welcome to join the ride-along. We will show you the equipment.
If you ever want to see any piece of equipment,
We will be. glad
Always
to-
transparent.
I mean, what we try to do is obviously learn from your feedback from you guys, and then also like kind of show what we do. We do take a lot of pride in what we do. We don't get it right all the time, but we're pretty damn good at it. So, sir.
If you wanna do a ride along, how do you arrange it?
Ooh, that's easy. I think
Lieutenant Cardona will take your number afterward, you know, he'll put you with one of his finest patrol officers.
absolutely. Please, I encourage those.
Yeah.
I really do. Before I got hired, I went to multiple, and you get to talk to the officer, kind of pick his brain, and then, he'll tell you how it works, and you'll probably hear a lot of personal his opinions on how hard it is to be a cop nowadays, right? We're dealing with, we're short on staff. We have 500 something officers right now. We're sliding for 700 something,
They're
so.
gonna know how. They
It's
need to
hard
look at
nowadays to be a
email.
police officer. It's not a popular job, but, the ones that we do it, we love it. We do it because we love them. Anyways, enough of that. Any other questions before we close? Well, thank you guys again for attending.
And then if anybody wants to stay after and ask any one-on-one questions, we'll be available. Yeah.
Are you specific? Like, yeah. Okay, got you. I can do it. My name is,